So about 3 weeks ago, I started to notice a sudden flood of these clan generator challenge videos, but I never really looked into what they were until I noticed that Northflower made one. And next thing I knew, I binged every single generator video I saw. I did want to take on the challenge myself, but I was still recovering from my art fight burnout. On the bright side though, that gave me plenty of time to come up with a story. So the generator gave me MossClan, and there is a lot to take in here. It says the qualities of the clan are weak and drunk, which I'm going to interpret as lethargic. Second is that the ratio of warriors to apprentices is 1-to-1, so at least someone here has to be a medicine cat apprentice. Third, this made me wonder where all these teenagers' parents were, because not counting the elders or the medicine cat, there's only 3 adult Toms, which is equivalent to the amount of current queens. All of this just made it feel incorrect somehow. This in combination with the traits told me that something tragic must have happened here. So what I came up with is that MossClan is one of 4 clans that live in a beachside park. An earthquake in combination with a devastating storm devastated the park clans. The majority of MossClan's territory was across a rope bridge from Valley Clan territory. The mossy cliff that their former camp was on was destroyed in a landslide along with the bridge and the park clan's access to their equivalent of their moonstone/moon pool. A handful of cats were lost in the evacuation and others succumbed to illness. Now restricted to a thin strip of land on the edge of a cliff, MossClan is in a constant state of ill health, thirst, hunger, dwindling numbers, and low morale. Their outlook is bleak, but let's see who might be able to bring them back from the brink of extinction. Hollystar, formerly Hollyspots, is MossClan's young leader, though you won't be able to tell her age because the recent tragedies has started to wear down on her early. She lost 4 lives in a short period of time, one in the evacuation, another in a failed rescue mission. She was killed on a border dispute and then died of illness, and soon it looks like she might lose her 5th life from starvation. She's skipping meals to keep the queen's kids and elders fed and fears that she's seeing the end of her clan and there's nothing she can do about it. Wrenstorm is Hollystar's deputy. He's actually Hollystar's former mentor and was a deputy candidate for the previous leader. However, he went missing right when the decision had to be made. He returned 3 moons later, missing an eye and saying that he was attacked by a dog and held prisoner by 2 legs. As a deputy, he's actually the one that the clans look to as a pillar of strength. He's quietly frustrated that his clan seems to be taking Hollystar for granted despite all her sacrifice. On to the medicine cat Nightfoot. His interest in healing started early. He has a genetic condition that makes his fur sparse and grow in patchy. When he was a kid, he had his tail amputated because when he snuck out, he was attacked by a dog. And while he keeps a calm demeanor on the outside, he is constantly worried about the state of his clan. Because his clan is stuck to a thin strip of land, he has limited access to herbs, and he hasn't shared his dreams with StarClan ever since the evacuation. And this is a fact that he's kept from everyone but his apprentice and Wrenstorm. The most senior warrior of MossClan is Rookthroat. She was originally going to retire before the evacuation, but with so few warriors and so many apprentices, she didn't want to overcumber Hollystar with more responsibilities than she already has. She's Wrenstorm's mother, though most of her grounding maternal care has been going to Hollystar and her apprentice Tansypaw. Starlingthroat is a tool, to put it lightly. He's self-important, he's a Wrenstorm contrarian, he's the most vocal Hollystar dissenter. And were he in a position of power, he wants to send every warrior into battle to show Valley Clan who is boss, completely disregarding that they don't have the resources to heal their own injured. He's also the former mate of Gadwallstripe and the fodder of Slugpaw and Plumpaw. He's the current mate of Deerberry and their kits, who are almost apprentice-aged. Ravenfoot is Nightfoot's brother and Starlingthroat's henchman. And by that I mean he has been bullied his whole life into being Starlingthroat's yes man. He's the guy going yeah in the background whenever Starlingthroat is going on his State of the Clans rant. Though anytime he's pried off a starling throat, his opinions just join in with whoever is closest to him. He doesn't actually have his own opinions on anything, he just goes with whatever he thinks will give him the most protection. Moving on to the apprentices and getting into the family drama, Slugpaw is the medicine cat apprentice, a choice that he made purely out of spite, to avoid starling throat as much as possible and to feel like he will never go down the same path his father did. If this was an ongoing story, it would probably be told through his perspective, and it would be his journey to restore the clan's connections to each other and to StarClan. Plumpaw is Slugpaw's sister and apprentice to Wrenstorm. She just tries to keep her head down and not stir the pot. She's the kind that is in constant state of being on edge, given the clan's very tangible issues and fear of being associated with starling throat. And like Hollystar, she depends on Wrenstorm to keep her morale, otherwise she feels like she's floating through life, not really living it. And really, who could blame her in this situation? Frogpaw is Ravenfoot's apprentice, Wrenstorm's niece, and Rookthroat's granddaughter. Her parents died due to illness post-evacuation, and while she does have biological family members, they're incredibly busy with their own responsibilities, so Ravenfoot is the closest thing she really has to a parental figure. She's probably best described as a she-himbo, adopting Ravenfoot's people-pleaser personality, and that's much to Wrenstorm's chagrin. When she's not in this people-pleasing state, she enjoys competing with Tansypaw. Laburnum-Paw is kind of just a hippie type. The be and let be, why must we fight? He kind of just talks about clan politics like he's an outsider looking in. Like, he's aware of the horrors going on around him, but he's kind of zen about it at the same time. And this infuriates Starling Throat to no end. Like, Starling Throat would want to practice potentially fatal battle tactics, but then Laburnum-Paw is like, have you considered talking out your issues? Tansypaw is overconfident and feels like he needs to be the one to come in clutch, which is a tendency that Rookthroat is constantly trying to rein in for his own safety. Tansypaw is actually from outside the clans. He was carried away by an owl as a kid and rescued by a MossClan patrol. His back leg was badly mangled in the incident and had to be amputated. He recovered very well and is able to compete in friendly competition with Frogpaw constantly. I also like this idea that he has this dynamic with Slugpaw where he's just like, oh, hey buddy, and then Slugpaw is just like irritated and grumbling, we're not friends. Moving on to the queens, Deerberry has been a queen bee ever since she was a kid. Growing up, the warriors kind of just treated her as the golden child because she had long legs that allowed her to hunt with more ease in the environment. When Starling Throat took her as his mate, she kind of just regarded it as him coming to his senses about like who the best she-cat in the clan was. She shares her mate's ideology, so she's not looking forward to the prospective mentors of their two kits, Lychee Kit and Hornet Kit. Hemlockwhisker is Hollystar's sister. Her mate Almondtail presumably died in a patrol sent to explore the cavern that opened up by the earthquake and was partially walled off by the two legs. The patrol never came back out, so they're presumed dead. Hemlockwhisker is aware of her sister's declining physical and mental state, so she feels like she can't confide in her about her own distress. So she's just left silently stewing in her own anxiety as her kit's birth comes closer. Orchidfur was always known as a pretty reclusive she-cat, so when she turned out to be pregnant, the clan was actually pretty surprised. Orchidfur doesn't want to talk about who her mate was, but not talking is normal for her anyway, so some cats just assume it was someone that went on that patrol that never came back. In actuality, it was Valley Clan Deputy Darkclaw, and what Orchidfur is hoping for is that if she has any black kits, then since black toms are just common in MossClan anyway, no one's gonna question, really, her kit's parentage. Moving on to the elders, Gadwallstripe is one of 3 young elders, and we're back to the messy family drama. So Gadwallstripe was Starling Throat's first mate, and he was able to put on the nice guy act for her, and she fell right into it because something about Starling Throat just attracts people that want that validation that he gives them. but during her labor, she sustained a major hip injury, and it wouldn't allow her to continue her regular warrior duties. And because Starling Throat is a tool, he just kind of abandoned her. He broke up with her, he ignored her. Starling Throat's a tool. And Gadwallstripe, she became pretty depressed after this. And it was only after Spiderbriar joined her in the nursery where she was able to get like some of her initial spirit back. Spiderbriar stayed with Gadwallstripe, and the relationship is not romantic. Spiderbriar is just a good friend that helped her out when nobody else was helping her in the nursery. And when Gadwallstripe moved to the Elder's Den, he was right there beside her to support her. And I guess this kind of just leads into Spiderbriar. He's Starling Throat's brother, and Starling Throat, frankly, just thinks very little of him. He and Lionpelt were caught in a landslide during the evacuation, where both their injuries made them unable to continue their warrior duties. In Spiderbriar's case, he had a brain injury that results in frequent muscle tremors and fainting spells, so it's not safe for him to really leave the camp, at least unattended. But this doesn't really stop him from being the big-hearted guy that he usually is. Like I said before, he's best friends with Gadwallstripe when she really needed someone the most. Lionpelt is Laburnum Paw's father, who passed his relaxed way of thinking onto his son. His mate Grasswing died of illness after the evacuation, but he's finding peace in telling himself that he will see her again someday in StarClan. And while nobody in his clan really voices this to his face, no one's really sure if the cats have been dying since the evacuation have been going to StarClan. Like, everybody can see that their physical access point to StarClan is severed. The rope bridge is gone. No one can share dreams with StarClan. Like, the Medicine Cats don't have to say it out loud, everyone knows. But whether or not Lionpelt is really considering this, he doesn't say. He's just there to be his usual calm, grounding self and to tell dad jokes. And last of the elders is the only actual elderly person here. Cormoranttail is Starling Throat's father, so he's kind of like the patriarch of this entire mess, though he does not condone Starling Throat's actions at all. Cormoranttail is just kind of holding on to life out of spite. He doesn't want to die while MossClan is in its current state. And I imagine he's one of the cats that would eventually influence Slugpaw to go on his mission to restore the spiritual bond between MossClan and the other clans with StarClan. And here is MossClan. This was actually pretty fun to do. Yeah, so let me know if you want to see the rest of the 3 clans. I don't really have any stories for them, but if enough people want to see a part 2, then I'll get to it. So, thanks again. Bye.